Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Cody,
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Joey. Okay, so this is our second recording. Joey just went on a huge rant, and I had to cut
Oh
him
my
like
God.
halfway through the rant because I realized I wasn't
It was
recording his
really
audio.
good too. It was really good too.
That happens every time on this channel. Every time something really amazing happens is right when I coincidentally forget to do something.
This is why we lose our podcast so often, isn't it, Jesse? I'm just too good.
I know.
And it's like your computer's like, nope, I can't process this. It needs to go in the garbage.
I wonder how the 5 people that watch us are able to put up with this.
I know.
I mean, that's the important thing is those 5 people are the most important pins on the sides of the bowling rink.
Well, 2 of those 5 people are me, so a different account. So,
but a big thing that I wanted to state was I have an issue with Pokemon, and I already made my case to you, and making like such bite-sized nothing burgers of content, and this isn't to deal with the fact that they actually were an early version of the FOMO loot box concept. This is more the idea of them taking manpower in one of the largest subsidiary companies in the world, and just doing fuck all with it. Like, we were talking about Pokemon Sleep was being developed at the same time as Scarlet and Violet, and one of them came out broken. You know what? I would have been okay if the sleep aid functioned like dog shit. I would have been okay. You know why? Because there's 8 billion other alarm clocks I could use in 2024. I think there are ones that are worth it. I need to clarify here. There are ones that I found to be worth it. Pokemon Tournament's fun. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon isn't Pokemon's idea, so I'm okay with it. It's Final Fantasies. That's their baby. I'm fine with Pokemon Ranger for the first 2. I'm fine with Pokemon Conquest. These are some pretty easy examples of side content. Pokemon Pinball, that's 5 right there. But they make a lot of side stuff that's just dumb or isn't going to age great. So I'm sorry, but Pokemon Unite is going to die. So because it's in the running with. Sorry, I'll cut it short for right now, and I'll continue on after.
Sorry, I just want to bring a point to this because you just specifically when you just brought up Pokemon Unite, I think Pokemon Unite's fine because Pokemon Unite's not being made by the Pokemon Company; it's being made by a different company.
And this is where I move on to dictate the IP is basically almost toxic to itself. And I'll go on to why I was going to say that after this.
I think that's where the real problem with the side content and stuff is that if the Pokemon was a little bit more lenient with who can make the side content, I think it would be fantastic. My favorite Pokemon games, are Coliseum. Those were made by a different group of people, and it brought a fresh and interesting take to Pokemon.
That is true. They basically took, but then we immediately followed with Battle Revolution, which was basically lauded as everybody wanted it to be Pokemon Stadium 3, correct?
Yeah.
And it was exactly not that. It was exactly not that. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, it was the best way to play versus your friends for a while. But you missed out on the heart and soul of what made those games enjoyable in the first place, which is you had the ability to play. You should have had the ability to play your DS games on it. I mean, I get the concept of difficulty that you could have had based in that, but
you should have just had more Pokemon to play as without the DS games. It should be less reliant on it.
The mini games, the castles, all the various single-player league styles you can do. These are just 4 things I can think of off the top of my head that would have padded out that game to make it.
Revolution does have basically the castle and basically the different styles. They're just spread out weird.
The castle is a very different vibe than what Revolution has.
I guess.
Specifically, it's actually difficult, first off. Battle Revolution is basically if Pokemon X and Y made a Pokemon Stadium game.
Oh, I don't know. Later Revolution has some absolute bullshit thrown at you.
I'm telling you, I disagree. I think like if any game can have bullshit in it, but the concept of difficulty, like we talked Gen 4, we talked Cynthia. There's a lot of anti-Cynthia in that game.
I don't know. What
There's
do you
a lot
think,
of
Cody?
not good. Yeah.
We kind of talking over.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's a.
Feel free
that's
to
a
take
lot
a
for me
second to
jump
process
in
all
on.
that.
There's a lot for me to jump in on. Um, um, honest, like, honestly, like, first off, I'm gonna have to say I would have to disagree with Unite not dying just because Pokemon is advertised as a children's IP, and that's basically an infinite money machine through there with how massive the Pokemon is as an IP.
That's true.
Yeah.
To kind of add on to that, Pokemon Cafe is still alive, and I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who still plays Cafe, but I bet you a lot of children still do.
Now, this is what I was going to go on to with Unite specifically, is Cafe is a puzzle game specifically, which has a fan base that's much more normalized and very friendly to children. Unite's play style is built into something that's very oppressive by nature of it. If it's for kids and a money making machine, Unite, the problem with it and the reason why it won't, I don't think it will be able to last as long as, let's say, Cafe.
I don't think that's a problem, simply because the kids still love Fortnite, and Fortnite is way harder than Unite.
Fortnite is a completely different beast. And that's not a thing that I would dictate as comparable in a concept of let's put it in esports terminology here. A MOBA may not seem as difficult as a run gun builder, but because of the oppressive and astringent natures that you have in that MOBA, it becomes difficult.
But I guess that's the question: is does it matter if they're just playing casually?
It matters because MOBAs are inherently oppressive areas.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like compare, like as I play with a lot of MOBAs, their audience is much more the spectator audience, not the competitive audience. You can straight up see that in Dota and League's numbers. They have more viewers than players.
Because they just don't feel comfortable jumping in. And that's the sad thing too, is like, because of that, you can count on one hand the amount of successful MOBAs that exist, and you can count on so many hands the amount of dead MOBAs there are. Did you know The Witcher had a MOBA?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was at the peak of Wild Hunt.
Yeah, like in the mobile scene, there's a very famous saying in there. If Fate Grand Order wasn't a Fate IP title, that game would have been dead in months.
True. And the difference between the two as well, Jesse, is Pokemon Unite is not the first MOBA. Fortnite is the first Fortnite.
That's true.
Battle Royale, like a Battle Royale in that style was never done before them. So like, say what you want about them, it's the first one. The kids who jump into it are going to hold on to it based on legacy alone, possibly. Like Final Fantasy 1 is still a favorite of a lot of people, even though there's nary a story and it aged very poorly, purely because of it being the first.
I mean, now there's Lego Fortnite now, and that thing's basically an even more sandbox heavy version.
Mm-hmm. And you give that freedom, it gives a lot of opportunity for people who have maybe a younger mindset or ADHD, or I think since they're more common diagnosed these days, just an open sandbox is easier for a child to digest than what is essentially a walled-in battle simulator that doesn't actually give you full control. Like, auto attacks are a thing in those games, and that's not control. As opposed to something like, I would have had more shit to say about Pokken Tournament if it didn't play the way it did. Or if they attempted to make it more like Street Fighter, I would have been like, I like this, but if they aren't bringing their game, they're gonna get fucking chomped because the FGC is fucking ruthless.
And specifically the Tekken part of it.
Well, they're lucky that they said we're Kid Tekken at the gate, at the gate. But even then, you see that they haven't made a sequel.
I mean, part of that was that the community quickly died on that one, just because it had the old dog shit delay netcode when every fighting game was moving over to rollback.
That is true. That is true. But like, we can look at other new fighting games that came out, like
Dragon Ball Fighter Z still doesn't have rollback.
It has
Dragon Ball
rollback
Fighter
now,
Z
actually.
still
Oh,
has
they didn't have it
rollback,
now.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's been since this year.
oh, this
But,
year.
like,
Well, that
that-
was still years late.
Yeah,
It-
it was
I mean,
late,
a
but it's
majority
now
of
on
them were
rollback,
years late.
finally.
A vast majority of fighting games were years late. Street Fighter V didn't have rollback until somebody forced them to patch it in. So, like, we can even say at the toppest most level, rollback was not a normalized thing. Street Fighter 7, or not Street Fighter, oh my god, Tekken 7 pulled in rollback around the same time. I mean, it was a mass introduction of rollback in 2021, I believe. The big thing to note here is there are fighting games that they don't necessarily, like, if they're incepted already, they can afford to fuck up and still keep that. You know, if there's already fighting games for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we can even look at a game. Do you know Street Fighter EX, Jesse?
Yes.
Okay,
Vaguely.
so the 3D version, the 3D version of Street Fighter, they made 3 of them. It was a different company than Capcom that worked on them, called Akira, not the movie. That company came back and made a game called Fighting EX Layer, and it played exactly the same, not as Street Fighter, but as Street Fighter EX specifically. And they released first, and they did not have rollback. Obviously, they're a small company. And then they re-released in a light version because it wasn't functional as a paid version. People weren't buying it.
Well,
And that's another issue with this too. On top of it is, like, if Pokemon had gone that route and tried to make Street Fighter, they would have gotten their asses chewed, even if they had rollback or not. Mainly because I don't trust them to make a good Street Fighter game or Street Fighter-esque fighting game. I don't think they have the chops.
I'll be honest, I barely trust the Pokemon Company to make a good Pokemon game, so...
Honestly, yeah, that's kind of the main thing I was going to review with. I mean, with the condition of the main titles, it's hard to see them able to make a fighter.
I actually... Let's pivot to the main titles for a second. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Because I have both a bone and a defense. A bone to pick that's obvious, which is, you know, refine your shit. You idiots. You make more money than God. But also, I think they're getting too comfortable. I think this new Legends game is gonna be either a winner or a deal breaker for me personally. This is just gonna be like, this is the way it is now, as in a bad thing, or okay, there's hope. Like, they can do something, because Arceus was great, phenomenal.
So I already mentioned
things I would add.
So I already mentioned this on the podcast, so I'm not going to go into it. This is kind of why, like, regardless of all the bad things said about Power World, I hope Power World succeeds, because that will make Pokemon a little less comfortable.
Well,
it obviously won't topple them, but uncomfortable is good.
It's basically like saying, WB's making some good content. Totally foolish, fictitious right now. Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain, folks. Mickey Mouse has to bring his A game, release more video games, write better content.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to right now. Better example, and it's related to video games. Wii U. Just the Wii U.
Oh, yeah.
There was a whole reason why Nintendo wasn't being as litigious back then. And it was because the Wii U wasn't selling.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, they're suing Gary's Mod right now.
Oh, yeah, there's that mess.
Wait, they're suing Gary's Mod?
Take out all the Nintendo properties, yeah. 20 years
That's
of
community. Those are community mods. Gary's Mod only comes with the fucking Half-Life kits.
It's going to be really funny to see how they're going to force them to enforce it, honestly.
I think
Like,
Gary's mod.
go into source code of everybody's computer and just brick them all. 20 years, you brick them.
They just load up the Mario mod and it's nothing but purple.
It's just gonna put in the Porygon malware right there.
Yeah, no, court sanctioned malware. What a good ska band name. Actually, though, holy shit. So a big thing with the side content in Pokemon is this. There's so much of it for such a big company, and you look at other big companies like what me and Jesse talked about this at one point, where it's hard to tell. It's you can barely count bad Mario side games. There aren't many. Like compared to the good ones, there's a lot of good ones.
I think at least with Nintendo, at least with Mario specifically, I think with Legend of Zelda too, they like to keep a certain level of quality that they refuse to drop.
because it's their two pillars. It's Mario or Zelda, biggest sellers. So that makes sense.
It's also on top of that it's like they specifically own Mario and Zelda and Samus and Samus says like Pokemon and like Fire Emblem are technically called second party.
True. I mean, Fire Emblem's had a certain element of quality ever since. I would say Radiant Dawn, not Path of Radiance.
I would say Awakening has really kind of like kept the quality even.
Well, Awakening added a new style. They didn't keep the quality even. They just added a new style to it.
Yeah.
They made it more anime than it ever was, which is what America wanted.
And on top,
let me see my babies. You know.
And on top of that, Awakening is completely different from the older games where you're forced to progress to improve your stuff through the story. Awakening stuff allows you to grind out.
It's closer than it's ever been to a classic RPG.
Fair enough. I think that's kind of the thing though. Like if Fire Emblem fails, like majorly, like catastrophically, the second Mario company is gonna take a massive hit. But like you take Star Fox, which is a first party, but also not a big seller, Nintendo's not gonna care that much.
Well, Star Fox was a big seller for a while. I mean, all the way up through Star Fox Assault, it sold like crazy. The problem came in that.
And then Command happened.
Command happened, and then you know what? If it wasn't released on the Wii U, I think Star Fox Zero would have been amazing. But it was that damn iPad. That motherfucker! Don't make me look at two fucking screens.
I don't think it's necessary.
Don't you talk shit about my iPad. I love my iPad.
Listen.
That thing's a brick, dude. It has battery life for 1 minute.
Listen, the minigame collection that came out on the Wii U was fantastic. It showed the potential. It's the fact that Nintendo can never do it properly. That sucks.
Okay, let me give you an example of them being able to do
with that.
No, I think one of the better releases was Fatal Frame 4. Though I don't enjoy the game's story because, you know, the original trilogy finished the story. If nobody here's played the games, that's fine. They're horror games. They're very fun. You feel helpless because you have to look through a camera at a ghost as they come to strangle you. Pretty scary. They used the camera the way it should be. Let me lift up the fucking thing and take a photo.
This is why for the longest time, everybody was saying once the Wii U came out, people wanted the new Pokemon Snap on the Wii U for exactly that.
It would have been a good idea.
And then then they waited until the Switch, and it was like, well, the moment's gone.
Moment's very gone. I mean, you know what? Yeah, it's a new Pokemon Snap is phenomenal. It's one of those ones where I'm like, this is I mean, to be fair, they've only made 2 Pokemon Snap games, just like 2 Pokemon Puzzle League games. It's really hard to fuck up those 2 genres of games. Which is why I'm like, that's probably why EV Cafe is still doing so well, because they know exactly who the fuck they're marketing and EV thing to. It's really easy. She's a cat fox. Sell it to everybody. It's literally a better mascot than Pikachu. The whole point of Pokemon is to evolve, and that Pokemon's whole thing is it evolve. It's a better mascot.
I'm just saying, when they got rid of Ash, they could have put a new Pokemon as the mascot. Erased Pikachu. I love Pikachu. I don't know what I'm saying.
I would never say to erase Pikachu. I would dictate. So you have, because you have every single new main character from the comics has a main, right?
Yeah.
In fact, Poliwhirl was a main for a while. Before that, it was Clefairy. You know, like these were before Pikachu. Like Clefairy was the first main, which is why it's so prominent in like the mythology all throughout the series. But like I think it's so ingrained at this point. It's almost like changing out the main Keyblade Yoda from Kingdom Hearts.
So
after Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's weird because like I feel like they almost tried that because like they did Lucario, and Lucario kind of became the symbol for Generation 4. Then they tried again with
Lucario's the Mewtwo. Lucario's the Mewtwo.
Whatever, and then they tried again with Zoroark, and you know they were trying, and then they tried with the Pikachu clones and stuff, and I feel like they just don't know how to do it.
I mean, the big thing to note here is Lucario is not attempting to be the new Pikachu, though.
They weren't attempting to it, but they just kind of happened.
Okay. Going forward from that, it's different. So Mewtwo plays a role as a mascot for the Coolmon of that generation. That is the staple. That is the guy. You go to Mewtwo if you want to be like, okay, that's the cool bar. Lucario was the new cool bar. Like, not the Pikachu, the cool bar.
Also, Cody, if you have anything you really need to say, feel free to just interrupt and shut him up too. I know
you're allowed to. I talk so much. Honestly, it hurts me. It hurts me. Save me, Cody.
I mean, there's not much for me to add. There's not much for me to add on the mascot topic. There's just the reason why Pikachu's problem is that it's the first. It's literally just the first.
Yeah, no. I actually have a theory they just played Spin the Bottle and just were like, they put a bunch of fucking cute mons in the middle of it and like around it. And I'm like, that, yeah, okay.
I mean, that's kind of what happened. They were like, let's do Clefairy. And then it's like, yeah, maybe we feel like Pikachu. Okay, we'll try Pikachu for a little bit. And then it just stuck.
And then,
I mean,
they just look at the audience perception and they're like, holy shit, why is this rat number one?
Yeah, that's true. I do think a big piece of it had to do with, like, for a kid's show, especially in anime, back in the 90s, it had way more heart than most other ones would. Because kids shows in anime, I believe, tended towards comedy more often than not. And the first episode, like Pikachu kind of assaulted that child.
Yeah, a lot of the kids stuff were like Camtaro and whatnot. Unless you were lucky enough to convince your family to let you watch Dragon Ball.
Oh, Hamtaro! Oh my God!
Hamtaro's great. What are you talking about?
No, as in played the Game Boy. The most chill games you could play after playing Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, can we remember that like the Pokemon anime is the only ones that is one of the few animes that actually directly talk about animal abuse consistently. Which
is really ironic, because like they have Pokemon generating power, keeping them on treadmills all day in various parts of this series. It's. I'm not saying PETA has a point, mind you, because that's what this sounds like, and I really don't want it to sound like that.
Well,
I really don't want
I think we're at least with
they don't have a point. If anything, the Pokemon animes have a better point on animal abuse than they had.
Well, okay, so
really weird.
That's the thing with the Pokemon universe, though. They use Pokemon for fighting. They use them as like tools and stuff. But it's always like with the idea of that their Pokemon are basically just doing jobs and are happy to do it. They're not like being forced to it. Unless it's Team Rocket who do force it, and then they're like, no, the Team Rocket are hurting the Pokemon while doing it. So they put a very clear
Right,
line
right,
between
right.
hurting the Pokemon and not hurting the Pokemon.
But it's not always clear. That's my point. Is like when you say you use them to fight and they enjoy it, it's pretty. It kind of echoes slave speak, like
That's
slavery speak.
that's not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true to MMA fighters that enjoy fighting.
Like
It would be weird if they
it's-
signed up if they didn't.
well, and they get paid. That's the biggest. They get paid a.
I think the
fuck ton of
only
money.
real problem here is that the Pokemon don't necessarily sign up; they just kind of get kidnapped.
Yes, yes, Jesse. The colonizers came and stole your children and are using them in warfare.
Oh
It's
please,
a
that's heavily.
problem.
Oh please, that's heavily unoptimal. Every trainer worth their salt knows that you breed the perfect child soldier.
That's true. That's true. Dittos are used for breed mares for the state.
I definitely feel like I think I talked about this during the when we were talking about the Pokemon Direct. Pokemon's too much of a coward to show like Pokemon like leaving after abuse because they don't want to get that serious about it. And
We were
I always
so close to that with Gen 5. We were so fucking
It was
close.
very close.
They're
I told
constantly
Jesse,
so
I think
close.
En's a fucking coward of a kid. I told Jesse straight out, I'm like, En's a fucking coward. And he's so close to being good, he's off.
That's all of Pokemon though. It is constant with that. You know, we were talking Gen 6, talked about this massive war. Did we see the massive war? No.
Well, that was
Lysander's
even more for
connected.
Gen 1. Well, and
Lysander's
we probably
connected
talked
to
about
it.
a bit. So it's like we don't get it. They just keep teasing.
Gen 1 talks actually is much deeper than almost any other Pokemon game. For specifically only one part, obviously. But that part is literally not only talking about animal abuse or Pokemon abuse, they experimented on humans. They experimented on various Pokemon.
Well, I also think like the
gene spliced without consent. Like there's various things that are like, oh my god.
That's not the one I think about when I think about like animal abuse and how serious Pokemon could be. I think about Cubone's mom. Like fucking Cubone's mom. We had a whole ghost takeover because Team Rocket abused a Pokemon's mother until they killed her. And I'm like, wow,
I mean,
that's awesome. Not gonna see that shit in any other Pokemon game.
But like it all connects. Like that was an experiment. That was an experiment.
Yeah, and it all connects.
It all connects to Mewtwo.
Eventually, but it's like it's just
like
they
Team Rocket is
just won't do it
diabolical.
anymore because.
Well, what's weird is Team Rocket's the most diabolical motherfuckers in the universe, and Gen 4 had a guy part of space-time continuum, and I'm like, Team Rocket's still more intelligent than you. Get the fuck away. Fuck you. Giovanni's like, I'm gonna go be a professor now and leave my child because I'm a good person.
Honestly, Team Rocket's the best example of less is more.
Yeah,
Well-
yeah. Like you see it throughout the world. The casino's a great example as well. Like all of those Pokemon that you can get as gifts, you're engaging in Pokemon trafficking.
You're literally buying the slaves.
Well,
Like,
and
what a ballsy thing to do! Holy shit!
well, I think let's think about the recent one. One of the major things that a lot of people do give the story credit for, but I feel like they could have done more with, is the whole bullying plotline. They never go into the real consequences of being bullied.
Like, what do you mean? Is it like with Blue?
No, in the most recent Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, okay.
I have not seen this. I have not seen anything related to the story on that one outside of the biggest thing I know from Scarlet and Violet is the DeviantArt knockoffs and that one bug where the guy was holding a Pokemon to look like it was his schlong.
So for the sake
What
of
I
Cody,
know-
so the plot of Team Star is that in the years.
Ask if he wants to hear it.
Oh, sorry.
I'll go ahead and hear it. I have no intention of touching that dumpster fire.
Yeah, Cody usually doesn't care for spoilers, but okay, so what happened was Team Star, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of this, is a bunch of older kids who were bullied in the past, right? And they beat up all the bullies and kicked them out of school, and the previous director covered it up and basically labeled them as the bad kids because they beat up a bunch of kids.
A bunch of young kids got gaslit.
And so the new director and teachers who
finest.
don't realize that they've been
Right.
covered up, or don't realize that they're good kids just waiting for their leader to come back who's off on vacation or whatever. and
Yeah, that's
and
about
so they're
it.
just sitting around doing nothing and waiting for their leader to come back, and that's pretty much the entire plot because they were bullied. And it's like,
no, they create a gang. They create gangs.
yeah, they create a gang.
They create school gangs.
Well,
Wow,
the gang
I mean,
was created previously for the defeating of the bullies.
Okay.
And then they just kind of sat on the gang.
How in the fuck do you make bootleg teams?
But it's like, and that's it. They just the whole result of the bullying is that they sit around and do nothing for a while. And it's like, well, we don't have any like.
Well, because as somebody who taught, I can actually speak on that. One of the big things to note, what I saw, I actually had some issues with the story. Obviously, most of mine was in the post story for it. Most of it was in the aftermath.
Yeah.
Because when you're gaslit and beaten down, you may gather a crowd, but you don't tend to act out after you see nothing comes. You don't tend to do it. You just don't. You shut down. You say, this is my space, stay the fuck out of it. And that's what they did. You go into their zone, they attack you. So I think, while I think the verbiage for how it goes is very poor, and they could have had a better lead up to it, I think that the showcase of how they handle the situation, because they're kids, and they were apparently heavily gaslit in a private school situation, by the way, which is much worse than like any other. I think that the reaction was actually pretty well done. Now, that being said, that's the only nice thing I have to say about it. Well, other than the fact that their designs are fun. But the aftermath of everything that happens, there's nothing. There's no real resolution to any of the emotions that were spilled. There's no showcase of the people that caused this development to happen to these kids.
There's the war in Gen 6, it's all in the backstory and never shown.
But what's crazy to me is, like, even if it's not the backstory, like, if you're playing through and helping them reconcile their feelings or start to, this is current story that needs to be shown, and they didn't. And that's I can accept it at this point in knowing how Pokemon handles backstories usually at this point. If they didn't show it, whatever, fuck it. You know, I'm here to catch mine. But you can at least do me the service of showing my efforts that I put in. And they didn't. Legitimately, all it was the same thing as the schmuck who loves sandwiches, which is, I'll battle ya. And I hate that as a resolution without any type of oomph to it.
Well, okay, at least that one I'll defend, because his I'll battle you is I'll use the mon you helped heal up to battle you to show that, yeah, he's healthy again.
Better ways to do that. Have him, like, maybe he helps you fight a big monster or something. You know, there are better ways to do that.
And you want to know something? There's a whole after, like, the last story has you fighting a bunch of monsters. Would have been great if they did that.
It's true.
And specifically, there's the situation with his parents that he never really participates in.
Well, and there's also the fact of the matter that a lot of areas that matter at certain points in the game just don't matter afterwards. And those would have been great spots to give you, like, key story points to do things in. And that kind of sucks, you know. It seems like the only person who's consistently in your character mode, to her disservice. And
Nemona doesn't even have any plot. She just wants to fight people.
Yeah, it's like the one person who gives the least amount of a shit about me. What the fuck is this? Come on, man.
It's weird.
You know what? I've never thought I'd say this. I would have preferred Hop.
Well,
Get out of here.
Okay, so here's something I actually had that thought. So you have three other main characters in Penny, Arvin, and Nimona.
Yep.
And a big
Nimona's a main character. She already was a master, so like, what was she?
She joined you for the final battle,
Nothing.
whatever. A big part of this game is multiplayer and having like multi battles against raids. Have some story beats where all three of you have a raid fight against people. Whatever. Have them join you on your adventure as multiplayer teammates that aren't like actual players.
Whilst I agree, I understand why they didn't, and it's not because of the reason you think with fidelity of Nintendo's service being trash. They're very scared of being perceived as an MMO. I am firmly of the mind that Nintendo fucking hates MMOs. I am firmly of the mind that they think they're a lesser form of video game crafting, which is ironic because they make kids games for giggles. But I think that anything that leads them closer to that, they will fight tooth and nail.
You know, notably their online battle royales have all been cut pretty early, except for Tetris.
Like the Tetris company for that one.
The Pac-Man one and the F-Zero one kept going because Maximilian Dood was associated with them. But like, it's a big name in the FGC joining your thing, which what a weird fucking crossover. Probably. Oh, actually, I know why. He was really into Monster Hunter, and when Monster Hunter Rise came out, he's like one of the biggest names in that. But I digress. The DLC stories are far better than they should be.
I played through the DLC stories right now. I just bought it earlier today.
I'm just saying that. That's all I'm going to say. They're far better than they should be. Those stories make me give a lot more of a shit than the main one did.
But that's the problem we talked about last time, where Pokemon always has to do things the second time to do it right.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, in a smaller scale, if you were to play Tekken 7 today, Jesse, you'd be able to tell immediately who was in the base game and who was released in 2019. You'd be able to tell because one feels better than the other, empirically, because they have time to cook. Nintendo releases their shit too fast, and this is the Sonic Team thing I was saying. They release it before it's done cooking in the oven, and it's raw in the middle. You can't eat cake batter. You got to eat a cake.
That's why this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about getting other companies to work on your stuff. When Sonic let some other people work on Sonic games, they made some fantastic Sonic games.
True, Mania is the greatest 2D Sonic game ever made. I will die on this hill.
I think
it was made by a bunch of people who made Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Sonic CD mods. That was all they did.
Coliseum's one of the greatest Pokemon games ever made. And even if it's not like the absolute greatest, as some people we could argue all day, it is one of the greatest.
Better stories. It's got one of the best stories.
So just let other people cook.
I mean, that's a good way to introduce indie developers, I believe, too. Like as we said, those Mania people, they're all in. Canon wasn't even known back then.
A good example is, as much as Game Workshop could be a massive shit, they did do something really good. Is that they took Warhammer and Warhammer 40K and just kind of shotgun that IP to whoever wanted it and let them work on their own stuff. And the great games that came out of that are well loved and beloved, and the bad games that came out of that nobody gives a care about. They're just forgotten and nobody cares about. So they're left with great games that everybody loves and remembers, and the bad games nobody cares about. And I feel like Nintendo holding its IP so damn close to the chest is strangling it a little bit. Not just a little bit, probably a lot of it.
I think another issue I had with all their extra releases is it becomes too dense. The same reason why Pokemon Ranger as a series by itself failed is why so many of those side games fall to the wayside, which is they released them too soon together and they didn't let them fester enough, either in development or in the public conscious.
I don't know.
To
I
where
never
people would be
thought.
ready for
It's
it.
a lot of people say that, but I wonder if they're saying that in hindsight because I remember at the time I was just like, more Pokemon, yes. I don't know. What do you
See,
think, Cody? I'm
yeah.
asking Cody this one. What do you think of that when there was a lot of Pokemon games coming out?
Honestly, honestly, it was never a problem back then because almost all the spin-off tiles were directly party or were projects that were in collaboration with different teams.
And I feel like there was also a lot of very different gameplays. Like Pokemon Ranger plays very different than Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. So
That is true.
As
And
well,
those are some of the big ones.
yeah, and let's not forget the big differences. And probably one of the bigger differences was the Pokepark titles.
yeah, which was just fun mini games with Pokemon.
Or, the best one, Pokemon TV.
I liked Pokemon TV.
Wow, you liked staring at a TV on your TV.
Listen, man, the Pichu anime was fun. It was kind of fun to find all the little
Pichu anime
secrets.
is on the movie.
There's 2 Pichu animes, thank you very much. One that's unique to Pokemon Channel, thank you very much.
I mean, I don't think it was worth paying a full price. Like, even looking back, I was playing it, I'm like, this was a bad choice.
No, it's just an alright. I liked it. I'm not saying that everybody should absolutely love and loved it. I'm not gonna die on the hill of Pokemon TV.
Yeah, you really shouldn't. It's kind of like a sinkhole.
I'm not gonna die on Shuffle either, or Unite for that matter.
Yeah, no, like there are a couple where I'm like they're good, but like what my example for oversaturation was I definitely felt it at least was when they came out with Pokemon Ranger 1, and then they took a year and came out with Pokemon Ranger 2, and then it was less than a year Pokemon Ranger 3, and you could tell the quality was way lower.
Well,
way lower.
a lot of people were criticizing the mainline Pokemon games for doing the exact same thing. Too quick.
Yeah, well, this was around Gen 4. Yeah, this was right before Gen 4, because that was, or in Gen 4. Because I remember Pokemon Ranger 1 had the Manaphy thing.
One was a Gen 3 title.
So, like, this is not around the time when they were getting super shit canned. Honestly, a lot of the shit canning started in the latter half of Gen 5, mainly. And I got the reasoning. They basically just tried to remake some of the Pokemon in a newer gen.
Well, okay. So here, I actually very explicitly remember the criticism of Gen 5. The criticism of Gen 5 is that they felt like it played exactly like Gen 4, which came out pretty recently before it. So much similar to what's happening nowadays, they felt they were just coming out too quickly and not enough like what people felt like were differences. And obviously when they changed all the Pokemon, they didn't feel like that was the difference they wanted. And then when they took a couple years after Gen 5, because it took a couple years before Pokemon X came out, and Pokemon X had a whole fresh new coat of paint, it was 3D and looked very different, people were like, hey, this is probably a fresh coat of paint for Pokemon, and it was probably this own fresh thing, and that revitalized Pokemon. But here's the thing. Gen 6 is probably one of the worst Pokemon games. And I think people just wanted to wait on Pokemon. They just didn't want to keep playing Pokemon every fucking year.
I mean, well, and I've dictated why I think Gen 6 is considered the worst. And I specifically think they're
Meanwhile, Gen 5 is one of the best, but nobody gives it the credit it deserves. They're starting to give it the credit it deserves nowadays.
I think Gen 5 is good, but I think for the reason
Black 2 and White 2 are freaking fantastic. They got a lot of what you want in a Pokemon game.
Right, you need to specify though, otherwise it doesn't matter.
Well, part of Gen 5.
No, there's 66%.
66%. Listen, man, when I talk about how great Gen 4 is, I'm talking about Platinum, not Diamond and Pearl, okay?
I can agree with that, mainly because Platinum helps speed it up, because those games are all fucking slow.
Diamond and Pearl are pretty hollow games, too, when you play...
Don't forget the agony of Diamond and Pearl having not a single fire type in the early game anywhere.
Well, don't you just love that there isn't one? That's what you wanted. That's what you
Pick
wanted.
convert ape or suffer at the right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, pick Goku. Why do you not like
2
Goku? Are
fire
you a Vegeta
types,
guy? Are you a
3
Vegeta
ice
guy?
types.
I like my penguin, and I will die in the end game to
Yeah,
use him.
I'm a Turtwig guy.
I'm a territory guy too.
God, Empoleon's the most shafted in the end game.
Excuse me, I'm a Chikorita and Meganium lover. You want to talk shafted, my friend?
At least you have support tools. Empoleon dies to every end game fight because everything has a fighting around move.
That is true. I mean, you have a very unfortunate mixed typing in Steel and Water, as yeah.
It's a great typing, man. It was introduced in a generation where physical
yeah?
fighting moves became common.
Well, you know what? Empoleon got into Tekken, so Pokken, not Tekken. You know what? That's basically Tekken. So you know what? Empoleon is at least loved by somebody.
Dude, my favorite match at Evo was Kazuya versus Empoleon. That was my favorite match at Evo.
I wish that the newest Tekken had at least one Pokemon in it. That would have been hilarious.
That would have been funny, but you
Just
know
one.
what's funnier? They have a pair.
Imagine Pikachu DLC, and it's just the Heihachi Pikachu.
Oh no, that could work actually.
Yeah.
But I would actually think if they put it on the panda as a little costume, because you can be a panda already.
Dude, I would love to watch Charizard beat up Panda or something.
Dude, I want to see a fucking tiny rodent do electric loops.
That would make sense. That would work.
Oh.
I think going back to
I'm sorry, I just want to say I mained Pikachu in Pokken just because he is so fucking angry in that game. That's the angriest little
he
Pikachu.
screams.
It's
He's
clearly
like
it's clearly a Mishima.
No, yeah,
No.
no. One of his opening is him just like doing the stop and going. "Arr!" I'm like, oh my god, love him.
The only angrier Pikachu character I've seen is Pichu's alt in Ultimate. That motherfucker screams.
Listen, man. Pichu in Ultimate is like the Pichu from Melee after he's been bullied for 10 years.
Yeah, no, he's straight up looked at his friends, don't come to school tomorrow.
Oh.
But like, I think 66% of Gen 5 is some of the best content ever made. I think Gen 3 is all around pretty good.
But when you think of Gen 3, which Pokemon game are you talking about? Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald?
Well, I mean, everybody would talk about the third game, no matter what generation you're talking.
And
just
I
like
think
you said, just like you said, Black 2 and White 2.
And that's, as I said earlier this episode, and in that one when I was ready to talk about the Direct, Pokemon needs the second chance to do it right.
but I'm not saying that they were doing it wrong in the prior ones. I'm just
I
saying
guess
that
they're not doing it wrong, but they always do it so much more right. Like Emerald is so much more right.
this goes back to that one thing I said that was criticism. Everybody has, though, right? Which is their loot box tactic, their FOMO tactic, which I'm talking about something besides that. Like they did, if you can do a good game prior, if you can make Skyrim and not have to mod it to make it a good game, basically. That's my example here. And Gen 3 had, of their remakes, their main games and their third game, none of them are bad.
Yeah.
They're just, if you ask IGN, there's too much water.
Too much water. Oh, I learned a fun fact the other day.
I don't know. Am I the only one here that isn't that big of a fan of Gen 3?
Hey, I'm pretty neutral towards it.
I mean, I'm speaking outside of like my favorites here, mind you.
I learned a fun fact about
isn't
Gen 3 the other day. Apparently, in Pokemon Sapphire, Team Aqua doesn't have any water moves. So that's not enough water, my friend.
Exactly. Well, I mean, you know what? It might be just because they want to float on top of a dog and see it drown. That might be it. That's why Peter got that. I figured it.
No water moves on Team Aqua.
They do get Whalmers in Emerald eventually.
They're full Caravanas and Whalmers even in Sapphire, but they don't use Water Gun. They don't even use Water Gun.
That is, yeah, no, they do focus on the dark type. but yeah, no, I think Gen 3 was all around a pretty solid generation. I think Gen 2 was a better sequel than what they probably expected. Because did you guys know that they actually were planning on canning the series after that?
Oh yeah.
Like they were going to be done. It was the Final Fantasy Hail Mary. They didn't know that it was going to be a franchise, even though they had made Yellow and had and made a bunch of side games already.
Yeah, Pokemon
Which is
Fate.
really funny.
It's weird. I think that was during the era when Japan wasn't really paying attention to worldwide stuff. So
It might have
even
been.
though
It
Pokemon
actually
was
might.
gaining massive traction worldwide, the Japanese developers were like, "Ah, we're only paying attention to Japan, and it's an all right franchise in Japan at the moment."
That's why Digimon World played like a fucking Tamagotchi in 3D. God, nobody should want that.
Uh,
Um, no, my favorite gen is uh Gen 8, obviously. No, I'm kidding. I actually really did enjoy, and this is a little bit of a weird opinion, Gen 7. I thought it was very enjoyable. I thought there was a lot to do in the games. I thought that the characters, by and large, were enjoyable to look at and listen to and fight against. I thought the battle tower was very fun. I thought the added Pokemon were interesting and useful, other than Donald Trump. Um, I think Gen 7 was pretty fun.
Weirdly enough,
And
I really like the Gen 7 anime too. Like usually when
I,
I try to like check out the anime, I usually drop it like partway through. But with the
because
Gen
Ash
7
won.
anime, I was like, I was enjoying it. I watched a lot
Because
of it.
Ash fucking won finally. Oh my god, the biggest edging session of a child's life. Let him win.
Ash should have won after Gen 4. I do not care what anyone says.
If he did not win, like there are a couple times where it's like, why didn't you win that? Like that one where they literally threw a Darkrai and a Latios at him. You fuck.
Listen, it
You
traumatized
fuck.
Ash so badly that he forgot everything about being a Pokemon trainer for Gen 5.
You know, Pikachu went to Gen 1. Pikachu went back to level 1. He's like, I
And
give up.
Ash forgot
All my
everything
food.
he ever learned.
Every
I
time he
just laugh
loses, he
every
goes back to 10
time
years
Ash
old.
just like, all right, I'm gonna throw an electric move into the grass type. That will work.
I
I mean, to be fair, they stopped trying to give a fuck about
Okay.
type mixtures. Pikachu electrocutes his flying type and turns him gold.
Okay,
And then he beats up 2 rocks.
So two things. First of all, Pikachu's always been able to break type matchups. That's been consistent, weirdly enough.
No, that's not. Because Ash had to break up the type mix-up when he fought the Onyx, not Pikachu.
No, I mean like after that Onyx, I think that broke something in Pikachu, and now he breaks the type of thing. Like specifically, that supercharge did something weird to Pikachu. But
He didn't get supercharged. He just rained on him.
what was I about to actually
He
say?
could have peed on him.
No, the reason the first episode I saw the Gen 5 anime was the one where he fought the electric gym leader, and he went up and he's like, I brought a ground type, and then the ground type got beat, and she's like, all right, send out your next Pokemon. He's like, well, no, I didn't bring any other Pokemon. I thought the ground type was enough. I was like, motherfucker. That's how I saw that one episode. I knew the Gen 5 anime was trash.
What really gets me is how Pikachu just kind of like, yeah, he got reset to level 1 by seeing Zekrom. He's like, hey, stop using electricity. Bzz, and then he's like, what? You gave him more. What the fuck? What? That's not how that works. And then Pikachu could not beat a Snivy. And I don't care what they say. If it's like, it's a level 50 Snivy. No, shut up.
No trainer's gonna get a level 50 starter.
Hello there, Ash. I've got this level 100 Charizard ready. I figured you'd be able to use it.
Hey,
Since
Gary,
you have no badges.
It's good news. I found you, God.
Here's an Arceus. I have an extra in the back. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna go in the back and pray.
Well, I have to go back in time to when I actually had a life.
If there's a multiverse and multiple gods, one, do they have a god?
side note, Oak already knows the answer to that. He's worked with time traveling mons.
Dude, like movie Ash is one of the most powerful trainers in all of existence.
I wouldn't
Like
say
movie
I
ass
wouldn't say
canon.
I wouldn't say that. Professor Oak has literally survived having his soul ripped out. Literally.
I mean, well, to be fair, Ash did too because Gengar kind of just did it to him. Remember that when it pulled it out,
Oh,
Pikachu
yeah.
and Ash.
Yeah,
And then he's
Gengar
like, wow,
Gengar
that's
decided
my
to play a
body.
prank on them by straight murdering them.
Yeah, he dropped a fucking chandelier on them and stole their souls. I'm just like, what is happening in my child show? And then Sabrina's like, you're also going to be a doll now, and this is now a Stephen King movie. I hope you're comfortable.
Oh no, Sabrina did that first, stole Brock and Misty, and then Asher was like, I gotta go catch a ghost Pokemon.
Fucking,
I gotta go catch a ghost Pokemon to unfuck this entire situation.
what a bad example of how to fix it too, because like they're poison types, dude.
Listen, this was Gen 1 where the Pokemon
Yeah,
company
it was Gen
still
1.
thought they worked.
Plus Gengar was literally Gengar's line was literally the only Gar's type in that generation. You
That's
didn't have a
true.
choice.
Ironically enough, his best move was to kill himself.
Which is weird because he had a Butterfree, which is also technically super effective.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Butterfree just gets ass sped and killed.
I know, but like, by the Pokemon company logic of use the super effective Pokemon, Ash already had one.
I mean, to be fair, they don't. You said it. They don't care. Pikachu stood on the head of a fucking Dragonite and gave it away.
Oh yeah, well let's not forget
trophy.
that ended by Haunter coming in, making Sabrina laugh, and Sabrina's like, "Hi, you made me laugh. I'm a good person now. Have a badge."
Have this badge. That's so fucking dumb. You know why I like the Lieutenant Surge fight? Not because Pikachu's a moron for not evolving, but because you know what's really good? Evolving after you learn all you can in where you are.
Do you know why I
Which is
like
why
this
I
Lieutenant
think
Surge fight? Because Ash actually fucking won the fight.
I like. Oh, he lost then he won, which is good.
Yeah.
Because he didn't win by some dumb gimmick like peeing on an Onyx and then electrocuting.
Well, that fight didn't
Oh,
even
you're
get
grounded.
finished because Brock and kids interfered. The fight with Misty never got finished. The Lieutenant Surge was a fight that won. Erica, he didn't win. Sabrina, he didn't win. Fucking Koga, I think it was Koga. After Koga, he won. Like Koga, Blaine, and then he beat Team Rocket for the Earth badge. So those three he won.
I have a theory. I have a theory about Ash's age. Definitely a meme. I think Arceus resets his age back to 10 every time he loses.
Oh yeah.
Major tournament.
Arceus, you mean the Pokemon Company?
I mean,
thing.
yeah, same person. Yeah,
Oh, well.
it's the same picture.
By the way, I wanted to ask Cody earlier, but I kind of forgot because we started talking about the end. What's your favorite generation, and why?
Oh,
yeah. Gen 5. Gen 5 easily.
Hell yeah! See, we got a man with a good opinion right here, unlike you, Joey.
I mean, I think the first 2 games aren't great. I think the next 4 games are phenomenal. But I want to hear Cody's reasoning.
Yeah.
Because unlike you, Jesse, I want to listen to him.
Oh.
Well, honestly, the main reason for me is that honestly, the main reason for me is that it's the only one after a while in the entire series that attempted to do a complete fresh roster, which meant that you would have no external knowledge of what to cling on to, which got taken out in black and white too. But that was a big selling point for me in black and white 1.
That's interesting because most people complained about that, so it's interesting that you like that.
They complain about that because they're cucks that can't live without their favorites for 5 minutes.
See, my major
I actually
issue
agree with that
nothing to
opinion
do
right
with
there.
that, actually. My major issue with it was more to do with the way they told their story. So we were talking about Gen 1 earlier. And how obviously it's an incomplete story.
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I'm gonna cut this off. We already talked about this on the podcast. We're gonna just be treading old ground here. I know. I know. Go watch that old episode. I could smell the old ground.
But me talking about it with Cody is new.
I guess. All right.
I'm not talking to you. Chill,
Fine.
little beans.
I'll go be quiet for a sec. I'll just drink my water. You know my opinions on it. Go watch that. We'll hear Cody's opinions.
I'm allowed to talk to Cody. But no, Gen 1 doesn't have a fully completed story. It does a lot of its talking in the background, which I find charming, but obviously it's of its time. Gen 5 does way more storytelling than any of the, and much better. I find the problem, and it's solved in Black and White too for me, is in the inherent hypocrisy in their attempt at showing hypocrisy. Which is that whole conversation we were having earlier with the they like to fight. Oh, but like then we said we kidnap them. And they're like, well, we treat them right, and then they don't treat them right, but then we act like we're treating them right. I don't know. It's one of those things where if N was written a little bit better, and he's the linchpin, I probably would have been a little bit more invested. I have issues with some of the Pokemon, but I mean, whatever. It's not that big a deal. I think the only ones I really have an issue with are the 3 fucking monkeys, because they should have had a 3rd evolution, because otherwise they're not very useful. I think Black 2 and White 2, though, showed the world after the events and fleshed out the prior story of a lot of the older characters far more. I don't know what smelling salts they sniffed before making the story for that game, but like there was a lot of backstory in that game that just I was like, why was this not Black and White 1? Like, I thank you, but like, why? That you shouldn't wait. And like Jesse was saying, they wait sometimes to put it into their next game. It's the same thing, although in a long form way. They put how Giovanni left his child alone in Gen 5 as well, with Soul Silver and Heart Gold. So it's the same thing with Gen 3 where I enjoy it, but man oh man, what a dumb villain motivation. Well, the world needs more water in it, so more water Pokemon can swim.
Alright, Joe, you're talking a lot like Cody talk.
So like I do agree. So I do agree with most of that, though I'm going to be a little bit tinfoil hatty here. I like to think they kept their cards held for Black and White 2 specifically because obviously Team Plasma is built around crooked activism, right? And you don't really get to know how they truly are until the curtains reveal. That was the case for a lot of people with PETA, for example.
It's true.
So,
and that was the direct comparison I believe they were trying to make.
So yeah, and so considering Black and White 2 is like the only direct sequel in the entire franchise compared to that. I think they went light on Black and White to reflect that you learn more about the power characters as the cards revealed. So Black and White 1. So like the best way to put it is like it's like Shrek. Yeah, like Shrek has like great ideas and stuff, but it doesn't go deep into it. And then you get to Shrek 2 and you're like, oh my god.
It's true. I can agree with that. I think my only caveat remaining with it is still just, unlike with Shrek, which had enough meat to keep me in it, and a lot of other people, because they filled in a lot of their gaps and had not too many, and then when they came out with the new one, They showed the gaps that were there that we just didn't see as well. Like you know when you have a question you didn't ask for but you wanted answered. That's what I think of more with when I think of Black and White 2, where Black and White 1 they do show the cards right away. Like that Muna gets kicked within the first 10 minutes of the game, and I'm like, that's something that you should have saved, for example, for a later part of the game where it's like, okay, kind of like what they attempted to do, ironically enough, in Gen 7, where they're like, we're a rehabilitation center for Pokemon, and they're just bags of dicks working there in their white coats.
And then Guzma calls you a dumbass, and the story's complete.
I do love Guzma. He is great. He is wonderful. He's such a fucking goof.
Best bad guy leader ever.
Let me have my main Pokemon have an ability. It immediately ruins my...
Dude literally committed crimes just to become a gym leader.
Hey man, you don't understand how hard it is out here, okay? I have one of the strongest... I have a Golisopod. You're fucked, man. Emergency exit.
It's weird because I love Team Skull because they're like the lovable goofballs, and I feel like they tried to do the same thing with Team Yell and they just failed.
Oh, Team Yell actually felt lovable way to me. I actually didn't have a problem with Team Yell because they're groupies. Instead of being like a gang of just delinquents, they're groupies in a town of groupies, honestly. So like I never saw them as similar. Actually, I think only in like the what they wear maybe. I actually see Team Skull as a better version of what they did with Team Star.
That's why I literally call Team Star like Skull.
Yeah, which I totally agree with. As I said, I think the way they depicted Team Star was solid until the ending.
Well, I think what helps with Team Skull. Sorry, what I think helps with Team Skull is that they're not the actual like main villains. They're just they're like the frontline villains. They're like these are the villains, and then surprise, they're not.
You know what I would have added to them to make them my favorite? Because they're not my favorite group. I think Rocket still holds that because they're just so fucking real. If they had a Dementio, if they had like a lieutenant who was just like uber dangerous, and he was playing his cards and everybody else was like meaning well or working towards a goal, and like this one fucking Dementio from Super Paper Mario was there, which I think is a great trope to have.
I agree with you because, Guzma, he's just doing his own thing. And Lusamine, she just wants, like, a specific Ultra Beast because she's, like, brain poisoned or something.
Yep.
I feel like if there was somebody manipulating both of them to specifically get to more Ultra Beasts, and eventually, I guess, Necrozma, to really mess stuff up, I think that would be a great villain.
I true. Too bad we got Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon instead.
Because it feels like
their Team Rainbow Rocket as a concept is actually interesting, except for the Rainbow Rocket. Everything else is great, where it's like we all come from universes where we suck my dick, and I'm like, oh, what happened? I flooded the earth. Everybody's dead, and except me. Fuck you. Oh, okay. So that's not a problem for you. Nope. Don't need sex. Don't need food. Got a lot of water.
I got fish.
Got a lot of fish. I ate a whale merc today.
Yeah, these fish are hydrophobic, but I got the fish.
Fish are hydrophobic. Technically, they're flying. Did you know that? What do you mean? They're flying through water. But no, I think that the concept of that is great. I think Giovanni himself was underwhelming, but everybody else that they brought, Gestus, oh my god, a world where he wins, what a nightmare.
It's interesting.
Lysander,
honestly,
Lysander
yeah,
winning.
that's literally like if PETA won was segregating animal husbandry out of civilization.
If Lysander won, he would have shot the weapon again. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like you think about that,
I fucking do it again.
But that's kind of my problem with Ultra Sun is Necrozma doesn't really have much to do with the main story that's going on. He just kind of shows up, and then Rainbow Rocket kind of shows up out of nowhere.
I disagree. Necrozma is a looming threat that is consistently talked about to you because you people in the background are doing research. explaining.
But they're
things
kind
to
of
you about.
separate from everything, though. They're just people in the background. They don't like interact with Lusamine or Guzma or anything. They're just there.
All right.
Plus, is Necrozma really a threat when he dies to a level 5/0 Aurora masquerading as a fighting type?
I mean, like, Ultra Necrozma is the real. As anybody who tried to nuzlocke that game will.
But that's just it. Like the two things they add in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon aren't really meshing with the rest of Ultra Sun. Really meshing with the rest of Sun and Moon.
The trans-dimensional travel was kind of. I do feel it was at last second, and I do think the Ultra Beasts are kind of a weird addition. But you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of. This was after they made the Ruby and Sapphire remake, which once again easiest games in the series, where they started to talk about the showcase the multiverse theory in action. So this was in practice, this is a good choice. If they were able to write it better, it would have been better, but showing your work is better than just telling you, right, Jesse? That's what we'd said, and I agree.
Yeah.
So this is them showing that work, where like the multiverse theory is in effect. Now, what I think is fucking dumb is I couldn't travel around multiple worlds that are actual worlds. I just go to little planes that either hold a Pokemon or hold an item.
Like, what if you had to go fight Team Rainbow Rocket in their home world? That would have been sick.
Yeah, that was what I was getting to. Is I'm like, but there are some where there would be no, be real, like Sanders, it's gone.
I mean,
the battle tree becomes the Battle Gladiator Pit, and it's hosted in Rainbow Rocket World.
That would have been dope.
I mean,
like a Rainbow Rocket based world would have been dope.
Even in the destroyed world, it's not like the worlds we do see are vast worlds with a lot to them. You would just need a platform to fight your respective leader.
Right, but like what I'm asking for here is an expansion, which would include that. I would be okay instead of that. I would be like, hey, that's still not enough. This is what I expect, because once again, this is my favorite gen. They have access to more Pokemon than any other gen.
Oh yeah.
Like, and it's enjoyable as heck to mix and match and see what you could do with them in each generation. So I have a great time already, but the story with Ultra Beast Necrozma by himself was compelling. These people can't look at the sun; they're blue. What the fuck? Okay, I'm here for it. Abused children by a MILF. I'm here for it. Rainbow Rocket, I'm not, because the concept is more compelling than both of those combined, and it's squandered.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, that was the highlight for me from the trailers when they blew that load right away.
I think it's
they're like everybody freaked out. Like they're like,
yeah, and then you find out that they're not even around until after you beat the damn game.
So,
which, yeah,
I guess just to kind of link it to my favorite game, one of the best parts about Rainbow Rocket is seeing old villains and fighting them at their best. That's what people love the Pokemon Black 2 and White 2's Pokemon World Tournament is for, because you get to go fight previous characters at their best.
That's true. It's a very good decision.
I think it's very telling that what a lot of Pokemon fans want is to just fight trainers at their best.
Well,
I don't know about that. People have complained about the remake, Cynthia.
I think people complain in the way they're like, I think they secretly like it.
A big thing. I don't know if that. I was gonna say, Cynthia was a great bar. Like outside of the glitchy nature of Gen 1, because if it wasn't as glitchy as it was, I would have said, blue. But God, that game's fucking glitchy. Just use a Tauros.
Blue's not that hard. He's got like 2 difficult to fight Pokemon.
If it wasn't as totally made, like if you in today's generic settings with all the stat distributions they had, he has an Alakazam and a Dragonite. That hurts.
He does not have a Dragonite. He has the Alakazam, his starter, and Exeggutor.
Oh no, I'm thinking about him with the Charizard. I'm thinking of yeah. But either way, like Executor hurts, Alakazam hurts, he has Psychic types, they all hurt. But either way, I'm digressing here. Cynthia was a bar of an actual competitive team. Although Spiritomb is not necessarily as good as it was. It was not weak to anything.
It had the pieces.
It had the pieces to be effective, and it's fondly remembered by anybody who plays it. Even like specifically the people who have shown how patient they are as to play through Pearl, because it's like sitting through a fucking thesis.
Yeah, and like the best part too about it is that like if you really dig into the data on her Pokemon, her Garchomp is the only one with a thought out EV stat line.
Yep.
Line 254, 252, 252, and an adamant nature. Ready to come in the moment you ready to come in and destroy your shit the moment you lay out a wall.
It's an actual challenge. It's legitimately an actual and
well, it's a good final boss. That Garchomp is the final boss.
that Garchomp is not the final boss. That's the deceptive part about her strategy. Her Garchomp is just a wall break. It's just a wall breaker. It's literally meant to break down your defenses so that way Lucario or someone else can just sweep it up.
It's either Lucario or Roserade. Roserade.
Honestly, I had a lot of trouble with that Milotic. That Milotic is a nightmare.
Milotics can be a problem if you build them right. Like I have,
especially with the remake now, where that has a fucking flame orb on it.
Yeah, like mine, I keep.
Well, Lucario and like all of the rest of her Pokemon, like Lucario and Roserade, they could just be overpowered if you have the easily. Milotic, if you don't have the right Pokemon, you're dead. Just like you're done.
Guess who Garchomp checks?
Yeah. Like the Garchomp is to kill everything that would kill Milotic. Is basically
kill Milotic, Roserade, or Lucario off of a revenge pick.
Ugh.
But yeah, she's a great boss. The spirit of her boss from also really challenging.
Kukui's team was also like really damn good too.
Kukui was a really good Pokemon. I was really disappointed in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon when they replaced him with, you know him.
Yeah, like Kukui was so good. He's the only fucking trader who had the bright idea to put a suicide lead with Stealth Rocks on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be real. That Elite Four, honestly, for their team matchups and buildings that they have, be real. Not much synergy in the actual Elite Four members. They can fucking hurt you.
Well, it's interesting because
what they're doing is they're whittling you down.
The fun thing about Sun and Moon is there's not that many like normal trainer boss fights in the game because there's a lot of totem Pokemon instead. So it's very interesting when you do finally fight one, and most of them are actually really good.
A good parallel here to look at is what did they do with Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu? Well, they took out all fights other than with trainers. Was that a good choice? Probably not. As in with this one, they kept it all in. They just made them a little bit more.
I'm trying to think of like any fights in Sun and Moon that are like bad, because like I think about like the first like major trainer fight is Illumi, and that Smeargle will fuck you up if you're not ready.
Every fight with Hop is bad.
Except for Hop.
Except for the last one. The last one is good because he doesn't use a main that like dies immediately.
The last one is terrible because it's not Kakui. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's replacing something that was better.
Yeah, just like just like fucking like the guy, I forget his name, the champion for Black and White getting replaced with oops, I'm a mono dragon type gym leader that's weak to a Lucario.
Well, don't you know that's duh. Everybody has to be land.
Oh, that's the first time that happened was freaking Ruby and Sapphire's with Steven and Wallace. Fucking Wallace is a joke compared to Steven.
Yeah, Steven didn't even have that many steel types, man. That was real. off-putting to me. Where,
And
yeah, I'm a
notably,
trainer,
all of
throws out-
Steven's steel types had stuff that countered things that were strong against steel types. Like psychic moves
think,
for fighting types and earthquake for fire types.
though, to Steven's defense, they treated him as a super boss when they replaced
That's
him
true.
with Wallace. So I can accept it.
I
because
could
he's
accept
a
it more if
super boss.
Wallace wasn't such a fucking joke.
I mean, Wallace is still better than a majority of the other.
Wallace's best Mon is Cynthia's third best Mon. Okay?
That's not a bad Mon. That's not a bad Mon.
It's not a bad Mon, but I think it's really telling that, like, just a single Mon with Thunderbolt destroys his entire team. just one Mon.
Well, let's be fair. That's legitimately the entire Elite Four. Because we're talking Aqua.
Oh, yeah. I think the rest of the Elite Four in Gen 3 was kind of bad, too.
Yeah, no, that was what I was getting at here. And that's the same for Gen 4. It's the same
Gen
for most
4's
of
Elite Four at least has some coverage
weren't
moves. I remember explicitly constantly getting dogged by Ice Fang. By ice moves on, like, they have at least one move of each type in the Elite for every Elite Four member.
That's not uncommon once you hit like up all the way up. Everybody has starts getting a coverage move on Mons that they monotype the fuck out of.
But what I'm saying with Gen 4 is that they're full of coverage moves, whereas later gens sometimes it's like they have one Mon with a coverage move and it's like, okay, whatever.
Well, if we want to talk the one that we know, gens, because what if they beat you? We don't want that. You can't lose. No losing in Pokemon.
I've never had any trouble with
No
Gen
losing
6.
in Pokemon. Anyway, here's our first generation champion that's just gonna choke slam the fuck out of you the moment you walk in.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, no, it's really weird. Also, I think it's really funny that they went from a generation where they were like, hey, you remember Gen 2 and how difficult it can be? Yeah, we're not going to fix the roaming legendaries, but everything else is way better. And then they immediately go to have a Lucario.
Oh, have a Lucario, have a Lapras, immediately have last Snorlax is right there, very early before the second gym.
Have 2 starters. They're trying to set you up as the MC. They're trying to be like, you are, have fun.
Meanwhile, all the rival characters is like, you're so great, amazing, it's too bad I suck.
You're so good, you make most of them quit training. Okay.
You're so good with your stacked stage 1 and stage 2 Pokemon.
Dude, that's 5 Pokemon that Jesse just... A Lapras, power. A Snorlax, power. A Lucario with a Megastone and good stat and IV distribution, power.
A second starter. The second starter also gets an evolution stone after a point.
God, that reminds
and you
me
could
of
still
that
get Battle Bond.
Yeah, that reminds me of that shit post I saw on YouTube where Gary's just been waiting at the fucking cerulean fridge for fucking a while, and Ash just shows up with a maxed out Charizard.
Yep, that's what you do. You know what? If you're gonna wait for me, I'm gonna fucking body you. Dude.
Well, it's like,
why'd you wait?
There's a part of me that's like, well, just use different Pokemon, but at the same time, it's not like Gen 6 was ever that tough to begin with.
No. Literally, they gave me the 5. Why catch any?
This is the same generation where during the Alpha Ruby and Alpha Sapphire remakes, they just gave you a Latios and Latias with a Mega Stone. They're like, yeah, have this.
That is one of the reasons why I think that generation...
it's kind of... I didn't think about it. It's also kind of fucked up that the Latias most comparable extra item, the biggest competition to their signature item is also a signature item.
I think it's weird to say, but it's like, you do need to read to play the game. You can have a little bit of difficulty. You need to be at least reading comprehension level to play the game.
It's kind of like...
I don't know, 6-year-old me got to the end of fucking Gen 1 with just a Charizard and nothing else.
I don't know if I'm a couple years too far.
I'm gonna be honest. I got
now.
pretty far into Pokemon before I could even read. So you know what?
well, I was gonna say like the way they treated kids in Gen 6 reminds me of the way that Barney the Dinosaur games treat kids, which is you put the controller down, it finds everybody for you. Like, just you don't know things, so we'll do it for you. And it's infuriating because
it's interesting.
the
Okay,
good ones sold.
so I haven't finished this DLC, but I've heard rumors that the second DLC of Scarlet and Violet like actually has like competitive teams you have to fight and stuff. And I think to
Legit,
like Mario,
actually, yeah.
I think to like Mario games, which always start out super easy, but they're full of side shit that will absolutely ream your ass.
That's true.
And I think that's
By the
what
way,
Pokemon just needs.
I think one of the big things I noted here.
Sorry, I'm just getting back to it. Sorry, I was stuttering a little bit, but and when I was playing through Scarlet and Violet and doing the rematches at the end because they want you to do rematches, I was just cleaning through them because even for rematches, they're not even trying, and I'm just like, they're not even trying even on the parts where they're supposed to be difficult, like the after game ship. And they could really do like with Mario and just be like, all right, it's the after game. Now we start getting hard.
Well, and one of the big reasons why I enjoy it specifically at all is Battlefront 2 is one of the best add-ons to any Pokemon game ever. Have me do a roguelike with a random Pokemon team? What a fucking baller game to do.
And there's some competitive ass shit you gotta do in that to get through that.
It's true, because you know what? You have a... You're fucked.
I don't know. What do you think, Cody? What's your opinion on Pokemon difficulty?
honestly, the thing for me is that I don't participate in Endgame that much anymore. Well, I guess let alone actually play the damn games after Gen 8. But my issue is just like how monotype gym leaders being a dog shit concept for a while, since just about everything can get a... Since it's not that hard in the games now to just get a Pokemon with a coverage move for that one type at any point.
I remember later Gym Leader, because I remember like Volkner specifically, like Gen 4, had so much coverage on his team. Like, you can do monotype and still be a threat, is the thing.
I mean, well, because monotype, like, if we're inferring monotype means you can only deal no dual, and things like that, then yeah, no, it's pretty easy to body that at that point. But like, if they're able to dual type it up, you become a whole new threat almost, even though like you're more predictable.
Like they can, but yeah, like they can dual type, but at the same time, you gotta remember, like the deck is stacked way more into the player's favor on them between both. We'll switch between Fanes, which Fanes, and again, you can get multiple coverage moves nowadays outside of like very fringe situations with the first gym leaders in some titles.
I want to bring up a gym leader that everybody loves, and it's a shining spot in a bad game. It's the Gen 8, the 8th gym leader in Gen 8, Raihan, the so-called dragon gym leader who does doubles. He has 2 dragons on his team, and the rest is all Sandstorm setup. It is a Sandstorm team with slight focus on dragons, and it's a fantastic team, like an interesting challenge, actually difficult in a game that's not otherwise very difficult. And I'm just like, I wish all gym leaders were like this. Gimmick focused, not type focused. You can be lightly type focused.
Pretty much. There's no challenge in bringing the yellow button to the blue button and morphing all over the place.
And you know what? Since it's a kid's game, it's fine for maybe the first 2 gyms to hit the yellow button and win. But you know, once you start getting to the 3rd gym or the 4th gym, maybe you can start throwing in some curveballs or something.
Yeah, like back in Coliseum where I got back right. I still remember back in Coliseum where I got royally fucked up by the Sandstorm user.
Oh, I
I
mean,
mean, to
first
be
time going
fair,
through
that was when it was
Coliseum, Mirror
powered.
B's rain team will fuck you up if you're not ready.
Yeah, just
Yeah, I mean,
fucking
that
rain
was
small
the
with
gym built for.
with a pile of rain dancing Ludi Colos.
Like, if
Did
you
that on
ain't ready
purpose,
for
too.
that
You
could
know
fuck
it.
you up.
Even if you're ready for it, like sometimes RNG gods just.
And then you go into the Deckham and his fucking Earthquake Protect in the double battle. Oh my god. And then he
And then
throws
there's-
out a fucking Entei out of nowhere. It's like, oof.
And then there's fake Mirror B with his pile of electrodes where you just blow up for one trace at any given
Yeah, he's
moment.
basically just throwing bombs at you.
Yeah, you just throw in bombs until you bring out something that's weak to thunder.
No, like, the Coliseum shows
is
how you could do
effective.
some interesting boss fights that aren't just type.
That's true. They also did rely heavily, specifically.
Sorry, you're cutting off there, Joey. Could you repeat that?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I was saying they do heavily focus on the shadow Pokemon, specifically XD though, with it being super effective against everything, and it being just so.
Well, I think it's interesting to think about because, at least in the first game, the shadow Pokemon of the bosses don't really fit into their gimmicks very easily, except for maybe Raikou. Because, like, you look at Sudowoodo and the Ludicolo team, it's like, what the fuck is he doing here? You know, Entei, he's weak to the earthquakes. What's he doing here?
You just don't expect it to.
Well,
That's one of the big things.
well, some of them are off evil trainers, so the obvious play is to put the legendary Pokemon into suicidal situations to make them yield.
Suicune, like, that whole team was built around, like, disabling and then hammering you really hard. Suicune's a wall, which doesn't do any of those two things.
I mean, Raikou is just a worse Zapdos.
Okay, but Raikou was actually on a good team. He was on a rain team and spam thunder, so at least in that specific situation, he was good. But he was the only one specifically.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh my
I'm saying
God.
he's a worse Zapdos. Zapdos is good.
The final boss uses Slacking and Slowbro to skill swap. Holy
Yeah,
smokes, that is such a
fucking hurt.
that's a fucking maneuver. You never see that in a Pokemon game ever again. You will never see a maneuver like that.
Oh
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
because
especially
you
since they
need to
stopped using fucking double format for the single player, which they use for official multiplayer tournaments anyway.
Well, you know what? Raihan, the guy I was talking about earlier, was a double battle with the Sandstorm, so that's why he's so fucking great.
Oh, I do think XD has the hardest boss in all of Pokemon.
Oh, XD is
That's-
great.
God, speaking of XD, I always loved the fucking puzzle battles in that game.
Like it's a really solid all around.
Like, puzzle battle is literally, do you want to see all the weird, janky gimmicks that you can do in a single fight?
Well, you know, Black and White 2 have puzzle battles. Black and White 2.
I mean, they did, but at the same time, they had random crits, and that fucked you up.
That's fair.
just all right, my rental, get ready to solve the puzzle. Oh god, I just got a crit for one shot. Well, the movie's over.
At least you tried.
I was there. I was the character of all time.
As you said earlier today, you existed. No, I do think, like, if we talk about, like, possible gimmicks, Pokemon makes good ones, and then just like, no, you don't like those. Stop liking those.
That's
no.
what I fucking hate about it too. When they found that they could replace Mega Evolutions with Dynamaxing.
You know what?
Dude.
I still love rotation battles. I'll be the one who says that. I love rotation battles.
I like them. I like them too. I wish they had gotten a bit more refinement.
I think that it's almost too much sausage in the soup if we because like it's complicated at this point, but like if we keep everything else possible, oh my god.
Okay, so let's see. Triple battles were a hot mess, but like rotation battles was just like free switching with like play like 4D chess free switching and to see what you can do and what you can't do.
Yes. My favorite thing to do as a child, play 4D chess.
I'm just saying, the rotation battles had some shit going on in them.
No, I'm not saying that things didn't happen in them. I'm saying like it's a lot with everything. Or like you just talked about Mega Evolutions, but like Z moves came out around that time too. Don't forget about how fucking nasty Extreme Evo Boost was. We just baton pass a +6 of everything to somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. My personal favorite Z move on there was Z Splash.
Oh, do you mean the one that did a +3 to attack?
Yeah, poor man's tail glow for physical attackers.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I just think Extreme Evo Boost is ridiculous.
I
So-
still feel like when,
100% if you could keep the Eevee alive for the one turn.
Yeah, no, the Eevee was a sacrificial lamb, but it was good enough they banned them.
They banned like Smogon banned. Like I'm gonna tell you a hot take here. Smogon has the worst bans of all time.
I mean, it depends on the meta they're in. Like, I think
You mean the meta?
Weather's meta.
You mean the meta that they make off of democratic vote, which makes no sense half the time if you're trying to make an objective competitive standard.
I mean, relatively speaking, like we can look at different generations.
Like hell, it's not even a
It's a little
democratic
bit
vote when you really put about it. When they have a fucking IQ test, when they have a fucking ELO limit test to be able to be qualified to vote.
No, it's true. I'm saying like when they were talking about. Okay, there's some of those that are just like, no, thank you. Why is that on there? But like, then there's the obvious ones like Mega Rayquaza when it first came out. Here, I'm gonna have a Mega Evolution Legendary that can. It's fair, right? Everybody can beat this, right?
yeah.
He also is immune to all Dragon type weaknesses. He's only a Dragon type now. Suck my dick. He still has the stabs for the flying type, but he is only weak to Dragon type. He also eradicates weather. Honestly, in my mind, one of the most broken Pokemon I've ever heard of. I don't know what possessed them to think they needed to make that Pokemon be able to do all those things. Like, that's without the moves. That's without the stats. Just make him win consistently. But, like, that's a good example of, like, yeah, I would have put that Pokemon. But there are that they just didn't. And I feel like it had to be redonkulous for them to even consider it. But there are Pokemon that, like, hardwall the whole of a meta. And
Incineroar is still popular, guys.
well, and when people talk about it, like nothing gets done about it, which is frustrating because man, oh man,
The worst thing for me with Smogon bans is that they ban Baton Pass for being considered a broken move, yet Stealth Rocks is still around despite being the most used move of all time.
it's true. I think Baton Pass and Stealth Rock are going to ban moves. The two that I would put right out.
Stealth Rock invalidates like Volcarona and Charizard and stuff. Like two beloved, like at the time would have been really great Pokemon.
Well, Volcarona is still considered really powerful.
Well, Volcarona's ridiculous, but the fact that if someone gets up Stealth Rocks against a Volcarona, she's like. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then when I got into arguments on that when there was talks of the Stealth Rock man going on, everyone gave me shit for saying that Articuno would have been a pretty good Dragonite check.
I mean, there aren't many that existed, so yeah.
Articuno could have checked Dragonite. It could have checked Garchomp at the time. It could have checked.
It couldn't have checked Garchomp, but it could have.
It's not
dealt with
fast
the
enough.
slower
It's gonna get-
dragons.
Oh yeah, probably not fast enough.
It would have gotten Stone Edge.
Articuno's got like 8. Articuno's got like 90 speed or something like.
I keep thinking
something like
Articuno's
that.
faster,
It's
faster than.
Articuno's pretty slow for a legendary. It's pretty slow.
They
Yeah,
refuse to
it's
make
pretty
a single
slow.
fast ice type. Dear God.
They did make Frostlass. That's it.
Yeah,
no,
that's it,
Frostlass is a
Frostlass.
great ice type.
Oh wait, no,
Frostlass
they
is
did.
an
Wait, it's
awesome
not
ice
just
type.
Frostlass. There's also Weavile. I almost forgot about Weavile.
Weavile and Weavile.
All of Gen
type,
4.
because that's the type. Yeah. There's also the DLC legendary for Gen 8. When you ride the fucking horse, you are now an
Oh
eyesight
yeah, the
type hero.
horse.
That because it's obviously gonna win because it has 2 abilities because fuck you, right?
Okay, one
And
of the
it's like,
abilities
I
is
have
a
two
nerve, and
abilities.
who fuck cares about a nerve?
That's true, but the other one, ugh, oh
Honestly,
those
doubles
nays.
players give a fuck about unnerve. You don't want to talk shit about unnerve in doubles.
Wow, Jesse. Wow, you're a doubles player.
Yeah, you gotta remember, in doubles, Citrus Berry is favored a lot more than leftovers, and guess what unnerve deals with?
Yeah, fair enough, I guess.
But no, I think Articuno could have been a good check. I think the obvious thing here is people always see the obvious best of the trio, which is Zapdos. He's just
Well, here's a
so
fun
good.
fact. Moltres wasn't beloved because of fucking stealth rocks.
No, it wasn't. Flyzard was killed consistently.
I don't know.
Which makes it more fun. Which makes it even more funnier when you realize that Charizard by Smogon's own statistic standards for what qualifies as OU would have been an OU Mon.
What kills me is Charizard's oversaturation in the material. Because
Oh, definitely, but that's what happens when you're number 2.
the number 2 spot's arguable. Mewtwo.
I don't see Mewtwo as much as Charizard though, so yeah, I would say Charizard's number 2.
Yeah, Mewtwo. Yeah, Mewtwo is number 3, which is the flex spot, depending on which generation they want to pander to for the time.
Well, Mewtwo's the one that talks in the sexy voice, so that's never going to be taken. Like Lucario, was like, I also have a sexy. I'm like, you're a bargain bin, Antonio Banderas.
They had the
Don't
same
you
voice.
talk
They
to
were
me.
both voiced by Dan Green.
Yeah, they were both voiced, but they're both Knuckles. Yeah,
And Knuckles, and Knuckles, and Knuckles.
yeah, it's all Knuckles.
Dude, I
They're all
can't remember the setup I had, but I remember I was playing Smash Bros. I realized I could have 4 separate Dan Greens.
Jesse, they're all Idris Elbas. All you need it's time to play with Idris Elba.
Man, just wait until
Right.
Jesse finds out that a Pinata was played by Dan Green.
Dude,
Oh
everyone.
gosh, he's gonna.
Dude,
Oh,
that's
no.
Yami Yugi right there, man.
No, you don't understand. He actually played a Pinata.
I know.
That's what you need to do. Sometimes you need to feel like you need to get beat. Well, Dan, why did you dress up as Pinata today? I didn't know how else to do it. Nobody will attack me. They think I'm gonna punch him or something. Like I'm gonna kidnap. I have no idea why they would think that. But no, what's our favorite Pokemon in this chat? I'm curious.
Mine changes by the moment.
Well, what in this moment is your favorite Pokemon?
Goldingo.
Go.
Okay, first of all, I'm playing through the DLC right now and have one in my party, so...
You told me it was Felix, you liar.
I do love Felix. You know what? I'm changing it back to Felix because he mentioned it. See, by the moment. And then I looked at my screen. I'm like, no, but Goldingo's such a fun guy. It's back to Goldingo. It's in the moment.
Oh, you know what? You know what? If they're tied, they're tied. Take the 2. Holy shit.
You know, I do absolutely love Gudra too. He is a fun guy. I want to give him a hug. I don't care how slimy it is.
But which version?
I don't like Snail Gudra as much. I'll be honest.
Don't you like how it slithers out of the shell?
I do like the animations on Snail Gudra, but when it's just standing there, I'm like, not feeling it.
All right. How about you, Cody? Which favorite Mon?
Ninetales easily, both Cantonian and Alolan.
He's
See,
literally called Ninetales. That's his username.
And the exact spelling too.
See, I'm a purist for the Galarian. It articulates the beauty a little more. Specifically, the shiny form I think is one of the best color palettes they've ever. But
Volcarona is one of my favorites. We mentioned Volcarona. I love Volcarona.
Yeah, speaking of which, Jesse, do you love how Scarlet and Violet turned it into a polygon and nothing else?
It's weird. A lot of people were talking about not the Polygon one, but the old the
The AI generated Larvesta.
yeah. A lot of people were saying they love that one. I'm just like, I hate this one.
I fucking,
no,
I fucking hate all those fucking anomalies. They're all deviant art nonsense.
I like some of the anomalies. I'm cool with some of
I
them.
like the Don fan one. I like the Don fan.
I like both Dawn fans, I like some of the robots. I like some of the old fashioned.
Like, Polygonal Volcarona broke me.
The two Volcaronas, though, I don't
literally
like
just,
either of them.
It's literally just Volcarona but Polygon. There is no difference.
I don't like
I
Volcarona,
think-
but it crawls on the ground. I hate that fucker, too.
I think the thing that killed me was the Jigglypuff streak.
I like the Jigglypuff.
I think it looks it's a Jigglypuff. Yep. It sure is a Jigglypuff.
Yep,
with the tooth. It has teeth now, Jesse.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
teeth
It
and a
looks hard.
hair, but different hairstyle.
And they made it fatter.
I hate
Cool.
the names is
Good-
my
good.
problem. My problem is I hate the names.
The names are garbage and absolutely dumb, and I have no idea why they.
No, I like
Well, we just
no.
discovered them, so we named them.
No, I actually like their names. They're garbage names, and it reflects that they're garbage.
Well, there are some that aren't garbage, so I want a real name to be. One I like isn't.
I don't care. I'm blanket garbaging all of them.
The only one I like
They're all going into the garb order.
is I like the
that,
Salamander.
That Mecha Galade is dope as fuck.
So
He's-
here's the
he's
thing:
going into the garb order.
the Salamence
Don't you do
one,
it.
the Salamence,
I'm gonna do it.
the Salamence
Don't you
looks
do
sick,
it.
and
I'm
its
gonna
name
do
is
it.
Roaring Moon, and that's the only name I like.
He's a poor boy.
I like the Salamence one and its name, and that's the only name I like. The rest are trash. Throw it away.
I think that the biggest missed opportunity here was not as the primer.
Sorry, you cut off there again, Joey.
I think the hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. I think the biggest missed opportunity from all this is they had Tyranids. They didn't make the giant black Tyranitar the primal form.
Yeah.
Because that motherfucker was on Demon Time in the night. And he's like, I'm gonna just solo your entire verse real quick, and that's what happened. And
I would have loved to see a futuristic Porygon.
You mean Porygon 2?
No, Porygon 3.
You mean Porygon Z?
Nah, obviously he means Porygon's son.
Yeah.
Got you.
Oh wait, no,
Okay,
it's
I
not.
understand.
No, he's not. No wait, now that I think about it, it's not son. Son's the base form. He's obviously talking about Ultra Son Porygon.
See, I need to know, like, what form does he prefer? Porygon Shield.
Sorry, which form do I prefer of what?
Porygon. Do you like Porygon Sword or Porygon Shield?
Oh, well, I'm Porygon Gun, my friend.
The superior Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Did you know that you can actually play as Keanu Reeves?
Yeah. Well, yeah, now that he's voicing Shadow the Hedgehog, I could totally play as Keanu Reeves in Shadow the Hedgehog game.
Oh
I
my
can't
god, like
wait.
that is like the most what the hell casting of the year.
I kind
But
of
the
love
voice
it.
is
I'm
right.
for it.
Oh, the voice is right.
I love it, but it's obviously one of the most out of left field.
Honestly,
He's like, hey, I had a good time fucking people in Cyberpunk. Now
So-
I'm gonna go and get fucked in Sonic the Hedgehog.
now I'm going to play a black hedgehog who guns down the government.
So here's the thing: the voice choice of Keanu Reeves is perfect because
Voice
it's
is good.
just terrible enough to be hilarious, but also still being badass enough to be loved. It is perfect.
Jesse.
It is what I want from Sonic, both terrible and
Jesse.
lovable at the same time.
Here's what I expect from this performance, right? I expect them to be in Green Jungle. And be like, you're comparing yourself to me? Ha! But it's gonna be deeper, so it's gonna be like, you're comparing yourself to me? Ha! I'll make you eat those words. And then he'll say Sonic's line on act. Sorry, I thought that was my line. And that's gonna be Keanu Reeves' performance.
and then Jim Carrey's on the fucking walkie-talkie. Oh my god, Shadow, you're a fucking idiot. Why did I even hire you?
Because your daddy and me.
Okay.
Like,
That's
honestly,
the
that's
end of
gonna be
that
the biggest
story.
selling point is seeing over the top Jim Carrey versus serious edgelord Keanu Reeves.
Oh, I can't wait for like him to try not to make destroying the moon memeable. Because man, that's memeable.
I
The
mean,
most
it's been a meme
memeable
for like a few
destruction.
years now with Eggman pissing all over it.
Yeah, I pissed on the moon.
How do you like that, Obama? I pissed on the moon, you idiot.
Oh.
But yeah, I know my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, my favorite Pokemon.
I have two. It's always been Cole and Maractus.
Maractus is a poll right there, yeah.
Maractus is what?
I was like,
Maractus is a pole?
yeah, you know, you really... Not many people know about Maractus. It's a good poll. It's a good opinion because not enough people know about it.
Oh, as in pulling Pokemon. Okay. Sorry, old man braining.
Oh.
Uh,
It's a
I was-
good
I was
opinion
like,
because it's a hipster one. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay, I get you. I understand where you're coming from.
Yes, okay.
I also have one for the starters. My favorite starter's Tepig.
I do love Tepig. Not enough people give Tepig the credit. Everybody's always like, haha, I love Oshawott or Smug Snake. And I'm like, but Tepig.
I do think Oshawott would be my favorite if we're just talking solos, but I'm talking with evolution. Tepig has my favorite.
Yeah.
Because he's just a fat boy who wants to push people. No, so anybody curious about like
Whoa,
how
hold on.
fucking funny it is
we
to watch
already did that.
Digimon attempt to make Pokemon clones?
That's what I thought the subject of this was gonna be, but then we got.
Yeah, no, we kind of.
Cody came. For context, Joey came in and was like, "Hey, I want to talk about Pokemon clones." I was like, "Oh yeah, Cody might be good for this." And then Joey comes on swinging with this this bullshit.
And then immediately
Fucking true.
derailed.
You're totally right. I mean, that's the problem with right.
You gotta understand, this episode of Derailed was derailed from the beginning. From word one out of Joey's mouth, he's already derailed this.
Oh man, I'm Fallout New Vegas.
At this point, you could title the episode "Peanut Butter Sandwich."
Oh man, yeah, I'm Fallout New Vegas. The intro.
And I'm gonna be honest, it's late. I gotta get up in the morning. We've been recording for 2 hours. I think we gotta wrap up.
Yeah.
Now that we're getting on subject, the proper subject, we gotta stop and go.
Alright, see you next time on the Halo Infinite podcast.
No, let's run it just a little bit long.
Alright, you know what? We've got 8 more minutes until 2 hours. Let's go.
8 more minutes, shut up.
Alright, shotgun your Pokemon clone picks in 2 minutes, let's go.
I just think it's funny that they made a game that's literally just on every single Digimon game you play, where everything is a literal nail being driven into your brain. And almost every Pokemon clone, for some reason, thinks that it's a good idea to be grainy as fuck when you look at Pokemon, which is weird because vibrant is not what I would have thought when I first looked at Pokemon. But man, oh man, it's hard to go anywhere but up when you hit Monster Rancher. Here, buy a CD to play the game. What?
Okay, I did kind of love the Monster Rancher CD system. It's so weird and abstract that's like...
But I have to buy a $10 disc to play the game.
But Joey,
that's
you like music, don't you? You already have the discs.
That's okay. First off, not everybody is me, so that's already dumb. Like, it's kind of like where I'm like, okay, I don't like Skylanders because I think the idea of collecting figures is cool, but like connectivity becomes an issue when you make them functional the way they did. You're forced to have them to play the game. I'm never a big fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of amiibos.
So, 2 things to that. First of all, in Monster Rancher, you could just not use the disc system. There are ways to get monsters other than that. Second of
Yeah,
all,
you're not gonna
those
win very
discs are a completely different purpose that you would just coincidentally have for other reasons. Unlike the Skylanders, which you will never have unless you're playing Skylanders.
Also, side note: Skylander's villain is voiced by the same voice actor as Invader Sim, and it's very hilarious that you can splice swears with it and not sound out of place.
That makes sense. That guy was everywhere around him. He was legitimately everywhere. But yeah, no. You need discs if you want to win, or at least not grind for literal decades. So saying that is a small pittance.
But here's
When
the
you're-
thing:
when you're
the
level-
disc
when
you
you're
could
leveling
use could be
them-
just about anything. It could be other PlayStation games.
Oh, doesn't matter, man. Because like, what if that's the only?
Okay,
You
well
know
then
what?
you should
Not
buy
everybody
other
has money.
PlayStation games. You know, like who bought a PlayStation that didn't come with any other games other than Monster Rancher? I didn't know PlayStations come with bundled up with just Monster Rancher. I thought they came bundled with other games.
Hold on.
I don't think it came bundled at all.
Most people don't buy game consoles bundled with things usually. Most people buy game consoles used from garage sales or something like that, and then buy a game that looks fun, which would probably be Monster Rancher if you're a child, because it has a little duck boy on the front. It's like, oh, it's a little duck boy. You play with the duck boy. You don't get to play with the duck boy. You get to play with a fucking piece of sheetrock. I don't know why he's a sheetrock. He's a sheetrock.
So what you're saying is that Duck Hunt on the original NES is trash because you needed the scope.
You didn't need a scope, you needed a zapper, and honestly, kinda.
Yeah. Dude, I could just put it in like I win. Which is
any game that
functionally
needs
hysterical.
external stuff is trash. Gotcha.
This is Jesse being a contrarian. No, that's not what I'm saying, Jesse. Would you like?
Sorry, I'm just being difficult because it's late. I'm tired. And I want to end the episode, but you guys are like, "No, we're not ending the episode." I'm like,
because me and Cody are chilling, man.
I know you are.
But I think one of the biggest, most egregious Pokemon clones was Digimon World 2. What a fucking grind! What a grind!
Oh god, don't talk to me about Digimon World. I still have it. I still have PTSD from World 4.
World 4 is rough. Don't get me wrong.
It's horse shit. It's horse shit. I even forced Jesse to play it.
Oh, I watched.
That started internet beef with somebody. Did you guys know that?
No, you literally talked to me about that.
I told you about that, Joey, how I got internet beef with some rando.
No.
Okay, so you can see it on the comment on my Digimon World 4 video, but somebody commented that he made his own Let's Play series to counter my points I made on Digimon World 4.
Well,
technically they were my points because he was playing mine, and it was all vicariously through me because I fucking hate that game.
Technically, it's peak fiction, guys. Come on, don't you know, fools? I do actually like the idea of giving them. I think them trying to make.
I liked it too. That's why I played it first, and then I found out that it's a horrid shit show of dungeon crawling game design.
It's a really shitty Diablo clone. I think World 2 is a little worse.
Like you don't even get to have the Digivolutions unless you know the oddly specific method to getting them.
They carried that over from World 2.
Pokemon Rumble did it better.
Pokemon Rumble.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
You just hit a button and it's a beat 'em up.
You know what?
Pokemon Rumble.
Pokemon Rumble isn't even that good, but it did it better.
Yeah, I was WiiWare for $5. WiiWare for $5 did a better job than Digimon. World 3 though was a masterpiece, but it's the only one I liked, which is really depressing if I think about it out loud. Because I'm like, I played them all. They have a 25% win rate.
You sound like me when I play Sonic.
Well, Jesse, do you want to know how long it took me to get a level 1? Focus.
Joey, you're breaking up. You have to repeat that.
Do you want to know how long it took me to get Digimon evolved to the ultimate level in Digimon?
How long?
65 hours
Nice.
of non-stop
At least you got,
grinding.
hey, at least you got an evolution in your game. In World 4, I never saw any evolutions past Rookie.
Oh, I got Wergaroo World 4.
Like, I literally got nothing. I was stuck with Rookies my entire playthrough.
It's literally just challenge map bullshit. It's really dumb, but like you unlock it through challenges.
I know, and that's what I fucking hate about it, because like if you don't know that, you're just stuck playing the game as Rookies, and you're gonna eat shit by area 3 constantly.
It is extremely difficult. I found it to be second. Well, no, World 1 is tedious because of the way they built it once. So I don't know if I want to count that because it's everything's so fucking slow. You can't skip anything. You can't control the Digimon at all. Like you just tell them do your own thing, and then they'll choose to if they want to, which is annoying. World 2 has some of the worst dungeon crawling I've ever seen in my grid-based shit that limits how far you can go each time and penalizes you if you go above a certain block ratio. And also, the worst thing they have is they have Digimon that can. So you go on a mission, you have to Digimon. They can send them back, and then you have to waste an item to leave, which money is scarce. It's a really badly made RPG. Really. Digimon's newer stuff that we've got left me pretty happy. Survive's a little middling to me. And Next Order was above average, but like Cyber Sleuth was really fun. And I think if they were to aim in that direction, they would succeed more often than. So it's weird to me that they would see sales for something and be like, "Wow, let's not do that again."
I don't know. Digimon's an ass backwards company, and I can't add much more in the house because I never played any past 4.
That's true. I mean, on the flip side, you have Persona and Shin Megami.
You know,
Shin Megami was not a Digimon Pokemon clone, but Persona technically is because it was made after, and the other one.
You know, I do have this whole speech about Pokemon clones and not Pokemon clones, but I'm too tired and want to end this episode, so we'll have to save that for the next episode.
Okay, you guys.
I think we should let Jesse sleep. Yeah, I think we should let Jesse sleep finally.
We'll have that actual discussion about Pokemon clones some other time. God.
Yeah, I know.
The thing we were supposed to have this episode.
Every time I'm here with Cody, man, we just get in sauce.
Yeah, I know. Cody's good for that. That's why I keep him around.
What are you talking about? I'm just keeping it derailed like what we're supposed to be.
Can't derail the ending, guys. You gotta let it end.
Well, don't you know that we have more to talk about?
Oh, we can talk about it some other day. Save some subjects for other episodes, guys.
Why?
Why?
Bye.
Bye.